Hello, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jargalma Tufshinjargal. Our top stories for today. President of Mongolia, Khurelsukh, holds a special meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, Battsetseg Batmunkh, paid an official visit to the United States. The 15th International Altargana Festival celebrates Buryat heritage in Bulgan province. For the news, stay tuned. On July 27, 2024, the President of Mongolia, Khurelsukh, held a special meeting with President of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron, in Paris, France. During the meeting, the social and economic state of the two countries, cooperation projects, and international issues of mutual interest were discussed in detail.
The heads of state exchanged views on the progress of the projects agreed upon during the state visit of the President of the French Republic to Mongolia in May 2023 and the state visit of the President of Mongolia to the French Republic in October 2023. The two parties emphasized that numerous vital projects are being implemented effectively. The two presidents agreed to cooperate in the realization of the projects agreed upon during the state visits. They also agreed to expand cooperation and intensify investments in the mining, clean energy, and communication sectors.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, Battsetseg Batmunkh, had an official meeting and discussions with the Secretary of State of the United States, Antony Blinken, during her visit to the United States. Additionally, the first comprehensive strategic dialogue between Mongolia and the United States was held in Washington. The Minister of Foreign Affairs represented Mongolia, while Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell represented the U.S. About 40 representatives from 6 organizations on both sides took part in these discussions. This dialogue is marked by the introduction of a comprehensive strategic dialogue mechanism, reflecting the elevation of relations between the two countries to the third strategic neighbor partnership. Additionally, 7 thematic sessions were held on issues of mutual interest to both parties. Progress in the air transport sector was also reported on this occasion. We agreed today to make significant progress on several issues. Firstly, we will expedite the initiation of direct flights based on the forthcoming conclusion of an air transport agreement. We also discussed and agreed to establish direct flights within this year. Secondly, we made considerable progress in the issue of training Mongolian teachers. We discussed with the Secretary of State Antony Blinken the training of approximately 1,000 teachers. It was also confirmed on this occasion that both sides have been supporting each other and actively collaborating on the international stage. For example, they mutually affirmed their commitment to further strengthening multilateral cooperation at the level of the United Nations and other international organizations, as well as in the field of peacekeeping.
We are proud to be Mongolia's third neighbor, and also very pleased to be able to launch this comprehensive strategic dialogue between our countries. Mongolia has really been an oasis for democracy in the region, and together we are building even greater economic resilience, strengthening the rule of law, and looking for ways to lift up the well-being of our people. So we have a lot to discuss today, but I think if you look at the relationship, particularly over recent years, we see a strengthening and deepening of ties in so many different ways that I believe will be to the benefit of people in both of our countries. So really welcome having you here today. Look forward to a good discussion.
The Secretary of State of the United States will pay an official visit to Mongolia on August 1, 2024, on the invitation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, according to a report by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia. The 15th International Altargana Festival, dedicated to preserving and passing down the Buryat people's heritage, traditions, and customs, as well as gathering Buryat communities around the world, was held in Bulgan province of Mongolia from July 26 to 28, 2024.
The organizers estimate that approximately 50,000 Buryat people from 34 countries attended the festival. The event was co-organized by the Office of the President of Mongolia, the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, and the Governor's Office of Bulgan Province.
Speakers' greetings focused on the content and idea of this festival.
This festival focuses on promoting an acceptance of cultural diversity as well as promoting tradition and heritage to younger generation.
Around 100 people from our province are taking part at this festival. This festival carries an important role of promoting Buryat culture and heritage.
The World Buryat Conference was held in Ulan-Ude, and I took part and even sang our traditional folk song. This year's festival focused on introducing and promoting the Buryat language and culture to youth and children to ensure its preservation. The Altargana Festival was first held in 1994 in Battsetseg Batmunkh province as the Buryat Song Contest. It has since grown into an international celebration of Buryat folk art and traditional customs, and this year marked its 15th anniversary.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Next, our program will turn our attention to foreign news, partnered with international news agencies. Japanese and U.S. defense chiefs and top diplomats agreed to further bolster the military cooperation on Sunday by upgrading the command and control of U.S. forces in Japan and strengthening American licensed missile production there.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin joined their Japanese counterparts Yoka Kamikawa and Minoru Kihara at the Japan-U.S. Security Consultative Committee in Tokyo, known as 2+2 Security Talks. Describing the rising threat from China as the greatest strategic challenge, they reaffirmed their bilateral alliance following U.S. President Joe Biden's withdrawal from the November presidential race. In the joint statement issued after the talks, the ministers said China's foreign policy seeks to reshape the international order for its own benefit at the expense of others, and that such behavior is serious concern to the alliance and the entire international community and represents the greatest strategic challenge in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. Regarding regional security, we agreed that China's attitude to reshape the international order for its own profit and their military movements are a serious concern not only for the region but for the world. Additionally, we shared our concern about further military cooperation between China and Russia. We also confirmed the commitments toward North Korea's denuclearization, while we shared concerns toward China-Russia's military cooperation with the possibility of Russia's military aid to North Korea.
And today we unveil some of the most important advances in the U.S.-Japan defense ties in the history of our alliance. And the bottom line is clear. The U.S.-Japan alliance is stronger today than ever, and getting stronger by the day.
We have a number of firsts, and these firsts are going to have a qualitative impact on our alliance, on its strength, on its fitness for purpose. We have a shared vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific. We strongly oppose the PRC's efforts to unilaterally change the status quo by force in the East China Sea and the South China Sea around Taiwan. We agree on the importance of upholding peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait.
Japan is home to more than 50,000 U.S. troops, but the commander for the U.S. Forces Japan, headquartered in Yokota in the western suburbs of Tokyo, tasked with managing their bases, has no commanding authority. Instead, instructions come from the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii. The plans will give the U.S. Forces Japan greater capability while still reporting to Indo-PACOM. China has been at odds with many countries in the Asia-Pacific for years because of its sweeping maritime claims over the crucial South China Sea. In March, Beijing announced a 7.2% increase in its defense budget, already the world's second highest, behind the United States, marking a massive military expansion. The minister said the U.S. command reorganization set for March to be in line with Japan's own command updating, aimed to facilitate deeper interoperability and cooperation on joint bilateral operations in peacetime and during contingencies, and enhance intelligence coordination, surveillance, reconnaissance, and cybersecurity.
France is hosting the Olympics for the sixth time, with the Paris Olympics running from July 26 to August 11th. A 2024 Olympics pre-race triathlon event planned for Paris' Seine River was cancelled Sunday as concerns persist over water quality.
Organizers said they nixed the swimming leg of the triathlon familiarization scheduled for Sunday after a meeting about water quality among authorities tasked with carrying out tests. That included representatives of World Triathlon as well as city and regional authorities. Swimming in the Seine has been banned for over a century in big part due to poor water quality. Organizers have invested $1.5 billion to prepare the Seine for these games, and the government has said the river would be clean enough to hold events including the swimming portion of the triathlon and the marathon swimming event.
The swimming portion of a practice run of the Olympic triathlon was canceled on Sunday because of elevated levels of bacteria in the Seine. But Paris city officials said they're confident that the triathletes will be able to swim in the river during the actual competition. The men's triathlon is set for Tuesday, while the women are scheduled to compete on Wednesday. The bacteria levels are elevated because of heavy rains on Friday during the opening ceremony and continued rain on Saturday. But city officials said that after similar heavy rain events in the past, the bacteria in the river have returned to acceptable levels within 24 to 48 hours. With no more rain in the forecast, they said they are confident the water quality will be okay and the triathletes will be able to swim in the Seine this week during actual events.
Daily water quality tests in early June indicated unsafe levels of E. coli bacteria, followed by recent improvements. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo took a famous dip in the river less than 2 weeks before Olympic events were set to start, fulfilling a promise to show that the long-polluted waterway was clean enough to host swimming competitions. Heavy rain during the opening ceremony revived concerns over whether the Seine will be clean enough to host swimmers because water quality is deeply linked with the weather in the French capital. Since 2015, organizers have invested heavily to prepare the Seine for the Olympics and to ensure Parisians have a cleaner river after the Games. The plan included constructing a giant underground water storage basin in central Paris, renovating sewer infrastructure, and upgrading wastewater treatment plants. Triathletes have expressed hope that the water would be clean enough for them to swim in.
NASA astronauts celebrated the opening of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games on July 26, 2024, from the International Space Station, marking a historic moment of unity and international friendship from space. The 6 NASA astronauts aboard the International Space Station marked the beginning of the Paris Olympics in weightlessness, as a video by NASA showed the various astronauts holding a flag torch and participating in exercises reminiscent of the sports played during the Paris Games.
Over the past few days on the International Space Station, we've had an absolute blast pretending to be Olympic athletes. We, of course, have had the benefit of weightlessness. We can't imagine how hard this must be to be such a world-class athlete doing your sports under actual gravity. So from all of us aboard the International Space Station to every single athlete in the Olympic Games, Godspeed!
NASA astronaut Matthew Dominic closed the video with a message to the Olympic athletes. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.